Good afternoon and welcome to this webinar. Today we will talk about digital documents, as you can see in the headline, but we will also talk, more precisely, we will talk about electronic signature, and which is a key tool for the digital revolution that we are living and that we will live in the future, in the next years. First of all, I'd like to thank Intesi Group for inviting me and for organizing such an interesting webinar. Intesi Group is a Italian technology company. It has been in the market for the last 20 years, and now it is a qualified trust service provider. That means that it can issue electronic qualified signature. Thank you for inviting me and for organizing. I think we couldn't find a better day, a better timing for this kind of event. Because as you know, the digital transformation is a key topic now. As you know, all the European government in these days, this week, will present to the European Commission the recovery plan. The recovery plan is the plan in which every state, every government says how they want to spend the money coming from the recovery fund. And as you know, the Recovery Fund has several priorities in Europe, but two are the main priorities for the Recovery Fund. The first one is the green revolution, and the second one is the digital revolution. The European Commission said that every government, every state must spend at least 20% of the money coming from the Recovery Fund for the digital transformation, for the digital revolution. But also, if we look at the other side of the ocean, and we go in the United States, we see that President Biden just a few weeks ago presented a big infrastructure plan to the Congress, 2.2 trillion. And a part of this big infrastructure plan is dedicated to digital infrastructure. So the digital revolution is on, and it will go on in the future with big investments. The reason why the government wants to invest so much in the digital revolution, in the digital transformation of the economy, is because the digital economy brings more productivity, brings more employment, it brings more innovation, more human capital, and we hope that it will reduce the geographical inequalities. So it is a very big challenge, and we are living it now. To reach this goal, to do really a digital transformation of the economy, I think we need three things. The first one is infrastructure, and that's why the government are investing so much in digital infrastructures. Second, we need culture. And that's why I'm very grateful to Intesi for organizing this webinar, because it brings culture to the people. It is very important. And the third point is we need digital tools. And the electronic signature is maybe the most important tool that we need to do this big digital revolution. The electronic signature is important for corporate to go to a paperless economy, paperless business. It's important for public administration. It's important for citizens. And we look in this webinar what could be also the future outcomes of this tool. And we will talk about this. We will talk about electronic signature with Viky Manaila. And thank you for being here. She is the Trust Service Director of Intesi Group. And she's not just an expert on this topic. She's also a person that can explain in a very easy way the electronic signature. So we will start this journey of an hour into the electronic signature and the digital documents. And this webinar will be divided in two parts. The first one will be a presentation of Viky. She will try to explain exactly what is an electronic signature, how to handle it, how to obtain it, how to preserve it in time. And then we will have a debate. And in this debate, you can, from the audience, you can ask questions through the chat, as you see in your screen. So I don't take any more time for the introduction. I give the stage to Viky Manaila, and it's your turn. You're on stage.
Thank you very much, Morya. Thank you very much, everyone, for taking the time to join our webinar today. I hope it would be a very useful time spent for you. As Morya said, I will walk you through what a digital signature is, what an electronic signature is, starting from the most common questions that our customers write. So what are these questions? What is the legal effect of electronic signature? How many types of electronic signatures exist? What type of signature do I need? I have received a signed document. How can I verify if it's good or not, if the signature is good or not? What is the legal value of an electronic document, and how should I store the signed document over a long period of time? So the legal framework in the European Union is established by the EU eIDAS regulation entering into force in 2014. And this regulation has direct effect in all European Union member states. So there are, according to eIDAS regulation, there are three types of electronic signature. The very basic one, the electronic signature, being data in electronic form that is attached to or logically associated with other data in electronic form and which is used by the signatory to sign. Then we have the advanced electronic signature, being one that meets the following requirements. It is uniquely linked to the signatory. It is capable of identifying the signatory, which is a very important point. It is created using electronic signature creation data that the signatory can, with a high level of confidence, use under his sole control. And it is linked to the data sign in such a way that any subsequent change to the data is detectable. And then the third one, a qualified electronic signature, is an advanced electronic signature created by a qualified electronic signature creation device, and which is based on a qualified certificate for electronic signature. So here we have a diagram trying to represent the three levels of electronic signature, the three types. And on the we have on the very basic level the electronic signature is the simple electronic signature. Then we have electronic signature based on an advanced certificate, and the highest level of assurance is electronic signature with qualified certificate. The requirements of each level of signature build on the requirements from the eIDAS regulation. So a qualified electronic signature meets the most requirements, and the simple electronic signature the least requirements. So electronic signature is something very simple, as for instance, writing your name under an email. And digital signatures are based on digital certificates that are issued by a trust service provider, as Intesi Group is one of them. And for this digital signature, for the issuance of the digital certificate, the identity of the user is verified by trusted person, trusted employees of the trust service providers. So the signature creation devices used for generating digital signature come in many forms to protect the electronic signature creation data of the signatory, such as smart cards, SIM cards, or USB sticks. Classic certificate-based signature are built on aging technology and are not mobile ready. So eIDAS allows also the signature creation environment to be managed by a third trusted party on behalf of the signatory remotely in the cloud. So we have remote signature creation devices that can also be used where the device is not in the physical possession of the signatory, but managed by the provider. So those remote qualified signature solutions offer an improved user experience while maintaining the legal certainty offered by a qualified signature. So what are the advantages of the cloud-based digital signature? First of all, the people don't have to carry around a hardware token or a smart card for those moments when they need to sign something. Then the certificates are managed and stored in a secure, very secure environment by trust service providers, reducing at the same time the admin cost. So the user can now sign from any type of device wherever they are and whenever they need. So in other words, eIDAS moves us from a device or hardware-based view of signature to a cloud-based view, which offers huge scope for the deployment of anytime, any place, any device signature. So now, one of the very frequent questions, as I said at the beginning, it was, how can I verify if a document that I have received and is signed digitally, if it's good or not? And here we have an example of a PDF document that is digitally signed. When you open the document in Adobe, you have to check all the time on the top of the document, and you will see a green mark where it's stated that the document is signed and the signature are valid. And then clicking on this ribbon, you can find details regarding the signatory and the type of the signature. So in this example, you can see that the signature is qualified electronic signature, so having the highest level of assurance for identity proofing, and the fact that the document has not been modified since the signature was applied, which is very important for the legal validity of the document. So if you open the document and if you have the green check, you can be sure that your document is okay and the signature is valid. What is the legal value of the electronic document or of an electronic document that is electronically signed or digitally signed? Across all EU member states, the legal effect of electronic signature is laid down in Article 25 of eIDAS. And this is stated that an electronic signature, either simple, advanced, or qualified, shall not be denied legal effect and admissibility as evidence in legal proceedings solely on the ground that is in an electronic form, or that it does not meet the requirement for qualified electronic signature. So all type of electronic signatures, simple electronic signature, advanced electronic signature, and qualified electronic signature are good. It's very much depending on the needs of the document that you need to sign when you have to choose the type of the document. Regarding qualified electronic signature, they explicitly have the equivalent legal effect of handwritten signatures across all EU member states. So when it comes to the legal value of the electronic documents, digitally signed or electronically signed, all of them have legal effect. The difference consists in the fact that if you have a document that is signed with a qualified certificate, no additional supporting evidence is required. Instead, for electronic signature, simple electronic signature, or advanced electronic signature, you may need to provide additional supporting evidence in the case of legal proceedings, of course. So how should I store the signed document over a long period of time? Because the digital transformation journey doesn't end with the electronic signature or with a document that just has been signed. And I pick here an example from a document that has been digitally signed, but the signature can no longer be validated. So you may have this problem in a certain point of time to have these documents signed and to not be able to validate the signature. Is depending very much on multiple conditions. And if we click on the signature to validate, you may get an error saying that the signature is either incorrect or unrecognized or corrupted. And for this, we have a special service, the preservation for digitally signed documents. That is a service regulated by EIDAS regulation, along to electronic signature, time stamping, electronic seals, and website authentication. The need for long-term preservation is acknowledged in the preamble in the recital, and it said that this regulation should ensure the long-term preservation of information in order to ensure the legal validity of electronic signatures and electronic seals over extended period of time, and guarantee that they can be validated irrespective of future technological changes. And also a qualified preservation service, which is the highest level of preservation service achieved for qualified electronic signature, may only be provided by a qualified trust service provider that uses procedures and technologies capable of extending the trustworthiness of the qualified electronic signature beyond the technological validity period. So which are the key points of a qualified long-term preservation service? The preservation over long period of time using digital signature technique of the ability to validate a digital signature to maintain its validity status and to get a proof of existence of the document and the associated data as they were at the time of the submission. And for that, Intesi Group is able to provide also this type of service in addition to qualified electronic signature, qualified time stamping, qualified electronic seals through a partnership with eWitness. And the service is eWitness Long-Term Preservation Service, assuring all the requirements according to EIDAS regulation. The proof of existence of the associated data as they were at the time of the submission. Then a particular point is the fact that the long-term preservation manager is a notary public, and for each document put in the preservation system, a receipt that is signed by the notary public is generated, which assure the authenticity and integrity of the document over long period of time. And when we say long period of time, we should have in mind 15 years, 20 years, 30 years, and much more. So as a general takeaway, the digital transformation is like a puzzle where you need different pieces to put together in order to have the whole picture. So you will need an electronic signature, a qualified electronic signature, a timestamping, maybe an electronic seal to seal your document, and in the end, you have to preserve everything in a long-term preservation service. Last but not least, before starting our questions and debate, just a summary about Intesi Group, who we are. We are an Italian privately owned company, trust service provider on the market since 1998, offering state-of-the-art products and technology and solutions for logical data security. A qualified trust service provider published within the EU trust list under the supervision of Italian supervisory body. We are offering digital signatures, timestamping, as I said, electronic seals, but much more authentication, encryption technologies that are our pillars in our offering, in addition to system integration services and solution design. For that, we have different certifications, and here I mention just a few. Our qualified signature creation device is certified by the Austrian certification body as being compliant with the EU eIDAS regulation. The qualified signature creation device is called PK box. We are eIDAS certified. Of course, we have ISO certification 9001 and 27001 for information security management system. And with that, I would like to invite Morya to start our debate.
Thank you. Thank you. Very interesting. You touched so many topics that now we try to digest all of them with questions. And I'd like to start from one of your slides when you talked about three different kinds of electronic signature, no? The basic one, the advanced one, and the qualified one. You said at a certain point that every single kind of signature respond to different needs of the people, of the person who asked it. Can you be more precise on this? Can you tell me exactly, I mean, can you give some example about what kind of documents, what kind of needs do I have to ask the basic one, the advanced one, or the qualified one?
Yeah, so from the beginning, I would like to highlight that the highest one, the qualified electronic signature, gives you the assurance that the identity of the signer has been checked by Intesi Group. So you know for sure who is behind that signature. So the identity has been checked against the identity documents of the person, and also through a remote video interview with the person before issuing the certificate. So, for instance, if you need to sign documents where the identity is crucial for that document, who signed the document, you have to choose a qualified signature. When, for instance, you need to sign documents that don't need to prove your identity, you can pick simple electronic signature or advanced electronic signature.
Sorry, what do you mean? I mean, what do you mean? You can sign a document and it doesn't make the other person sure about your identity. So what kind of sign is it? I mean, what kind of signature is it? I mean, I don't understand exactly.
For instance, a company would like to hire someone, and for that they need to sign the employment contract. So the company has to be sure that the person who signed the document, the employment contract agreement, is the one who claims to be. And in that case, they need to have a qualified certificate, because we have seen during the last year, people worked remotely. The companies didn't stop their activity. They have to hire new employees. So how can they check the identity of the employees without being able to meet in person? And for that reason, they signed through a qualified electronic signature.
Okay, so can I ask a very, very stupid question?
Please, no question is stupid. Please,
yes, this
go
one
ahead.
is.
No.
Why a person should choose the basic signature? I mean, I don't. Maybe it's the cost of the electronic one, because of the qualified one. Because I mean, if I need a signature, it's better for me to go directly to the best one, so I have a wider use of this signature. So I mean, listening to you, it comes to me this question: why somebody should choose the basic one? I understand that it can be used in certain kind of situations, but why choose the basic one and not the advanced one that has a wider range of applications?
Well, not necessarily because of the price, but because of the commodity of the usage. For qualified signature, you have to pass through a process to get your digital certificate. While for electronic signature, you don't need anything. It's not based on a certificate. You just can simple sign with a pen on your smartphone, and that is an electronic signature is enough. Okay. For instance, you have you get a package delivered through DHL. You don't need a qualified electronic signature to sign for the receipt of the package. You will sign with a simple electronic signature for that.
From your point of view, what is the percentage of usage of the basic one, of the advanced one, or of the qualified one?
Well, it's not so easy to have a view of the market, because we don't know, for instance, our customers, how many documents are signing with the certificate for different reasons. The most important is for privacy reason. We don't see what they sign. So we cannot count how many signatures are generated with certificates or how many with simple electronic signature. But they became very spread, especially in the last year.
I'd like to talk now a little bit about legislations. I see that there are some questions about legislation, but first I'd like to ask you a question regarding the European legislation.
Yeah.
Can you assure us that with the eIDAS regulation, the European Union has a level playing field for electronic signature? So if I sign a document in Italy or in Germany or whatever, it's the same, it's recognized, there is no even a little difference. So there is really a level playing field. Can you tell us this?
Yes, I can confirm that your assumption is true, because it is stated within the eIDAS regulation. So that the signatures are recognized in all EU member states. Doesn't matter where the certificate was issued, from which provider. If you are an Italian citizen and you will take a digital certificate from Intesi Group, it will be accepted in Austria or in Belgium, in France, doesn't matter. Also, if we have customers, multinational companies, and their users are spread effectively all over the world, they have Intesi Group digital certificates.
Okay,
and are accepted.
Okay, I take a question from Howard, and thank you for giving us a question. Still around the legislation, he asks, where is the legislation, the US on digital signature legislation? So how does it work in US? It is comparable to European legislation. If I sign a document in Italy or in Germany or in France, is it valid in US?
Yes, Yes, in United States, we have the Electronic Signature Act, where it is stated that whatever sign or a piece of information could be in electronic form could be considered an electronic signature. And in addition to that is defined a digital signature based on digital certificate issued by a certification authority or a trust service provider, as Intesi Group is, and based on technical standards. So the standards are comparable, and digital certificates issued in Europe are accepted in United States as well, but not only in United States, all over the world.
Yeah, that was the following question. My question was about UK, since with Brexit we still have some, maybe we could have some problem. I guess I'm asking you, and then all over the world, for example, in Asia, China. I mean, it's well accepted everywhere.
Yes, they are accepted because EI as such has been such a great success. So most of the countries outside of Europe have taken an example from European Union, from our technical standards developed by the European Telecommunication Standards Institute in supporting these services, and are accepted widely. Especially the qualified electronic signature, they are aware that assure the highest level for identity of the signatory. So every qualified digital certificate issued by a qualified trust service provider is accepted without any doubt.
Perfect. Before going on other themes, there is another question from Edward. He has to explain again advanced signature if you
yes.
go
yes.
go, because we talk more about qualified,
about
basic and not about the middle one.
In the middle one, yeah. Yes. Well, the advanced electronic signature is based still on digital certificate issued by Intesi Group. The major difference between two of them is the fact that for advanced certificate, the user doesn't need to prove its identity through a remote online video identification process. So we have different mechanisms in place to verify the identity. Of course, the identity is verified against ID documents that the user will provide. We are checking the information filled in the form for the certificate issuance against the copies of ID documents we request from the user, but this is an asynchronous process, so doesn't happen through a video interview with one of our trusted agents.
Okay, now
it's a process that is more smooth and is taking less time regarding the qualified one.
Okay, and okay, one of the questions that is coming right now, and it was one of the questions I wanted to ask before, and then we went on in the discussion, the cost of this of the three kind of signature, and we can stay in this slide because it's perfect.
The electronic signature doesn't have a cost because we don't issue a digital certificate. So one can choose an application that can allow the electronic signature. For advanced certificate and qualified certificates, the cost is depending very much on the availability period, because they have different availability in time. We have certificate with 1 year validity.
Sorry, I don't understand. Are you saying that the electronic signature has an expiring date?
No, the certificate that is issued by Intesi Group to generate the signatures has an expiration date. Yes, they are starting from 1 year till 3 years, because in 3 years the information, the identity information may change. So we have to generate a new one. And the price is depending very much on the validity, but they are not so expensive, and you can generate as many signatures as you need for the 3 years, let's say, when the certificate has a higher cost.
Okay, now
we have on our web store published the prices for all type of signatures, so is available for consultation.
Okay. And now I want to touch one theme that is, I mean, I have some question about this, but I see that many, I mean, the audience is asking something about this. So I'd like to focus on the long-term preservation of the documents. Mm-hmm. My question was, in time, the technology changes.
Yeah,
and I mean, we used to have floppy disk for computer. Now they are
20 years back.
Yes.
Okay. And we have big computers, and now we are able to do everything from the smartphone.
Exactly. And for example, if I put my life into a floppy disk 20 years ago, now my life is unreadable, because there is no computer anymore that can read that kind of disk. My question is, can you assure, and how can you make the long-term preservation of the document sure, even if technology changes, and maybe in the next 10 years we will don't have anymore the electronic signature, but maybe we will have something else, safer, more advanced, etc. So how can you assure the preservation in the long term of the document, even if the technology changes?
Well, this is a very complex service to be expressed in simple words. But what you have to have in mind that is a kind of safe box where you put your most important documents, and you can be sure that whatever happens in time, that safe box is here in place, and you can open it and take out your documents and read them, because there are very complex technological mechanisms to assure that the documents are checked periodically. Let's say they are re-signed or time-stamped by the trust service provider, the long-term preservation service provider, and everything is according to very specific standards that are in place for this service, being able to assure the validity of the signature over a long period of time, and to give you the proof that you have a document that has been signed in that specific moment of time, the signature was valid, and your document continues to be valid and to have legal effects.
Okay, there is another question that just came up a few seconds ago. Is it a property solution of Intesi Group?
No, it's not a proprietary solution of Intesi Group. It's from our partner. The solution is called eWitness, and it's from our partner, who is also a qualified trust service provider. But as I try to depict in the image with the puzzle, the digital transformation is exactly a puzzle, and you need all the pieces. We are at Intesi Group, we are able to provide everything a company or an individual may need, either from our proprietary solutions or through our partners.
Okay, there is another question regarding the long-term preservation. You already answered, but I read it again. Maybe you have something.
Yes, please. Mm-hmm.
Could you please clarify more how the long-term preservation service works? Which information is stored on the system, and how the validation works after a very long period of time? From Selim.
Within the long-term preservation system, we store the documents that are digitally signed. At the moment of the receipt of the documents within the long-term preservation service, there are specific actions for validating the signature, and those actions are tracked and recorded within the receipt that has legal value as a proof of evidence in time. So this is according to regulatory requirements and technical standards.
Okay, there are several questions on preservation.
Well,
we are all worried about the long term, and
don't be worried. We are able to provide everything you may need.
And don't quote Keynes on long term. Okay, additionally, to add in the qualified signature, the long-term value, LTV, I guess,
yes,
information and a qualified timestamp, what other action on the document is your long-term preservation service applying to the document?
Sorry, could you please repeat the question?
Okay.
I'm afraid I'm not understood right, and I don't want to give wrong answers.
I try to be more. Yeah. Additionally, to add in the qualified signature, the LTV information and a qualified timestamp.
Yeah.
What other action on the document is your long-term preservation serving applying to the document?
Well, there is no need for other actions on the documents. The documents will preserve together with the proof of recipient its legal validity in time. So there is no need to do anything else.
And there is another question: how are these services no, sorry, I I try again. Yeah. How are the services charged?
The services for preservation,
yes,
you mean? Yes. Yeah, they are charged based on the volume of the document and of the period of time you have to store the document.
Okay, now I have a question for you. Remaining in the world of the document.
Yes.
What kind of potential do you see in the future, in the next future, from the electronic signature? I mean, my question is, what can we do today with if, for example, I'm a corporate, what can I do today? And what can maybe I will do tomorrow? Maybe there will be new tools, new services, new potentials. I mean, do you figure out how the development of this tool can be?
Well, one of the development that already started is to be able to digitally sign based on your electronic identities. If you have an electronic identity card, if you are a citizen that is based in a country with already in place an electronic identity system, you would be able to generate a signature based on a qualified certificate issued by Intesi Group on the fly, without being necessary to pass through all the identity checking process that are required for the highest level of identity assurance, because the electronic identity is a master identity, and someone has checked your identity in person before issuing this electronic identity.
Okay.
So this would be a normal evolution to be able to generate signatures on the fly with the highest level of assurance, of course. We have also integrated several electronic identities from Nordic countries, where the banks are playing a major role in this space. So if you are a citizen from a Nordic country, from Sweden, from Norway, from Finland, and you already have, of course, a bank account, you have a bank ID, and you can sign directly using your bank ID thanks to an integration that Intesi Group has performed with those systems for bank identities.
Okay, just to close the chapter regarding preservation, long-term preservation, maybe you said already, but I don't remember, or maybe it's important to repeat. What do you mean about when you talk about long-term preservation? So how many years? For how many years you preserve a document? Forever? For 10 years, 20 years? What is the timeline?
Yeah, well, it's depending very much of the document you have to preserve. For instance, if you are a bank and you have loan contracts, and we know that a loan contract has taken 15 years or 20 years, you as a bank have to preserve those documents for 20 years. And you have to be sure that your documents are really secure stored, and you are able to have the legal proof of the existence of the signature in the case of a legal proceeding. Let's say if something happens and someone doesn't want to pay anymore the loan, or is not able to pay anymore the loan and is going to a court, you have to prove that you had a valid signed document.
And there are other questions from the audience. One is from Luis. Does the user customer who need to sign a document need a special app to sign the document? In other words, a bank, an insurance company, or a notary send a document to a client to be signed. Does the client need a special app to sign it?
Well, usually in those cases where a bank and insurance are sending documents to be signed, they already have in place some mechanism to get the signature of the person. Otherwise, we do provide tools that are free of charge together with the digital certificate. So anyone having qualified or advanced electronic signature from Intesi Group is able to sign from whatever type of device, from computer, from smartphone, from tablet, doesn't matter, they are able to sign, and we provide everything you need.
Okay, there are arriving so many questions. I hope I
we have the time. Otherwise, we will take the questions offline, of course.
I apologize if I missed something, because they're arriving from different parts, and so I hope I get all of them. There is a question from Luis Santin. There are many digital signature apps available that people use. What would be the main added value of Intesi solution for standard basic signature? So what do you give more than other people?
What we give more than other, we give solutions that are very user-friendly, can be used very simple in a very intuitive way, starting from the principle that if something is simple, could be used also by a child without having any knowledge for that. So we at Intesi Group, we are providing this type of solutions with this principle base that anyone can use a digital certificate, can sign with an application created by Intesi Group without the need to have a training in advance. It's very easy in 3 simple steps.
Okay.
But we have also on our YouTube channel the videos explaining how to generate a signature, how to request a signature, how to use the applications we are providing to generate qualified or advanced electronic signature. So everything is available on our YouTube channel or on our website. If not, we are happy to take the questions by email, of course.
Okay, and there is a interesting questions about long-term preservation. I'm sorry, we keep going on that. Is there another way of long-term preservation without storing the full document? Some customers will not accept to share the original content with the service provider. So is it possible to
Yes,
So
there are different options for the long-term preservation system with preservation of the whole document or without the preservation of the storage of the whole document. But this can be discussed on a case-by-case basis.
okay,
Because it's very much depending on the type of the document, on the period. There are many points that have to be taken into consideration before giving an answer. But the answer is yes, there are multiple possibilities. In the same way as for electronic signature, we have all these possibilities to digitally sign.
Okay, I think we did all the questions that arrived from the audience. If I'm missing something, please send it again, because I don't want to miss anything. In the meantime, I have another question about, let's say, cybersecurity, or anyway, the security of this kind of signature.
Mm-hmm.
From my point of view, the electronic signature, it looks safer than handwrite signature. I mean, we all went to school, and we all know that people in school sometimes make the signature of the mother or the father,
yeah.
just to quit school.
Yes, force
I guess
signature.
we all went to school, yes. I think that it's much more difficult to manipulate electronic signature, but
yes,
there could be some people, hacker or whatever, they can do anything, and maybe they can do this too. My question is, how safe is it? And I mean, is there a risk of manipulation and of identity theft? And I mean, somebody takes my identity and do something with my signature. Is it possible for a very specialized hacker, or it's not possible at all?
Is not possible at all. And I will explain why, because of course it's not necessary, is not taken from granted my answer, because the signature, the process of generating the signature is protected by multiple factor authentication. In order to digitally sign a document, you need to know a password to access to the certificate. You need then also a PIN code, and in addition to that, a one-time password code that is generated automatically by an app that is provided by Intesi Group. So it's not possible, for instance, if someone knows your password to generate a signature. And also it's not possible to impersonate you in order to get a digital certificate, because we have very strict procedures and rules for checking the identities, for checking the documents. Our staff is very well trained for that, and there is no way to escape, so to present a fake document and to get a qualified digital certificate.
Okay, let's assume that somebody steals my mobile phone.
Yeah.
And let's assume that maybe sometimes people do it. We shouldn't, but sometimes we do. We write the passwords in the phone. In this case, is it possible to use my signature instead of me? Or do you have a level of protection that even in that case, anybody can?
No, because in addition to the password and the OTP code, you need to enter a PIN code that is signed. So someone that has stolen your smartphone cannot use it to generate signature. And you also have the possibility to immediately ask Intesi Group to suspend your certificate. And this is your duty as a user in the case you notice that your smartphone or mechanisms that are protecting your signature have been compromised. You have to ask for the suspension of the certificate. So if someone else is finding the smartphone cannot use it.
Okay. And there is another question. Are Intesi services and solutions offered globally, also to companies or countries outside the European Union?
Yes, the answer is yes, absolutely. We have customers from all over the world, from United States, from South America, from Asia, from Africa, from literally everywhere.
Okay, if there are other questions from the audience, we are closing, but we can have other few minutes. We started at 0.5, so we can
2 minutes
end up
late, yes.
5.
And anyway, you have, for anyone who is interested to have more information, you have my email address here, and I'm happy to provide answers or to schedule a call with you to clarify other points or other questions that you may have or your organizations may have.
Okay, just a general question to end up looking from a higher point of view. Both the COVID and the Recovery Fund and the digital transformation all over the world has concentrated the focus on the digital revolution, on the digital transformation. Did you see in the last year increase, a very sharp increase in the electronic signature? I mean, did you increase your clients and did you increase a lot?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah,
so
absolutely.
It is taking, I mean,
this is the major driver of digital transformation.
So
the lockdown, yes, and the remote interactions. And I'm very confident that after this pandemic, the new normal will be different with remote interactions and everything happening digitally, because we have noticed the benefit of that. We don't lose time and money also in signing papers, in storing papers, in protecting them. There are very costly processes.
Okay, another question from top down, let's say. The European Commission is working on a revision of a part of the regulation regarding the digital identity. When we talked by the phone last time, you told me that there are 3 hypotheses. Can you explain better what kind of hypotheses, what could be the outcome and the new legislation, and where they are going to change something?
Yes, the major revision of the eIDAS regulation will regard the electronic identity part, because we have noticed that following the eIDAS regulation, not all European countries were able to start an electronic identity system or an electronic identity solution. Therefore, most probably we will have an electronic identity ecosystem where the governmental institutions that are habilitated to issue the electronic identities will play a role together with private companies that are able also at the same time to issue other kind of electronic identities or verifiable credentials. And if we get back with the banks in mind, and you know very well that all the banks are checking the identities of the user, they have huge amount of personal information that are storing, and that information can be reused for the benefit of everyone. Companies, governmental institutions, and citizens at the same time, with a crucial role for the consent and the access of the personal data security and privacy. Everything will be in the sole control of the citizens, how they are sharing their personal information, with whom, in which conditions, and for how long.
Okay, thank you very much to Viky Manaila. I think, you clarified a lot, and thank you to the audience for being here today. I think this is a very important, as I said before, to do the digital transformation, we need infrastructure, tools like the digital signature, but also culture. And I think that these kind of events are very, very useful. I remind you that this event has been recorded, and then it will be on the Intesi YouTube channel in the next few days. So you can watch it again as if you missed something. Thank you very much to Viky Manaila, and thank you very much to Intesi Group. And that's all. I hope you have a great evening.
Thank you very much, Morya. Thank you very much, everyone who attended this webinar. And a special thanks to Paola Monti, our communication and marketing manager, who did a lot to have this webinar in place. Thank you all. Goodbye.